In this tutorial, we're going to take the idea of instancing trees a little bit farther. I'm going to begin by importing a model, the birch model, that should be in your models folder of your training project. And I'm just going to pull the geometry out of the model and delete it. Again, I just want access to the geometry here. So the idea is to use the polygons, the way that they're distributed on this birch tree, and have leaves grow along the branches. The easiest way to kind of control where the particles, or the leaves in this case, will get distributed will be, of course, to paint a weight map. So that's where we'll start. We'll get a weight map. We'll call this the leaf placement weight map. Okay. Control W to get into my paintbrush. I'm painting at a 100% opacity, and that's good for now. I can always dumb this down if I need to. And I'll press W. So I'll just double click on the multiple property sets for my paint. And I'm just going to run in now and just kind of paint the areas where I'm going to want leaves to grow out along. You could kind of cut areas out if you wanted to, just to make patterns of growth. But this is where you're going to obviously spend a little bit of time and think about where you want the leaves to originate on your trees. Remember that you have to deal with both sides of the branches. So it makes it a lot easier when the branches are extruded cubes. Again, just a simpler proxy model really helps in this case for being able to access the branches from two sides without having to rotate the camera maybe at 6 or 7 positions to get access to all of the polygons. So that's a big bonus here. I'm just going to go in and try and avoid as much as I can the main trunks and just focus on the leaves getting the detail, or the branches getting the detail where the leaves are going to appear. Right out here. So just bear with me as I finish this off. Put some on the end of this branch. And wonder if I can be a little bit more generous with my brush here. Yeah, just expand the brush a little bit more. The problem is you can only really paint on one branch at a time, so it allows you to paint an entire branch without bleeding over too much. So that's one of the intelligent things about the brush, is that you can go in and have a pretty large brush, yet still be able to paint the area you need. Okay, we're looking pretty good here. Just got a few more tight areas right in here in the kind of the inner part of the tree that are eluding me. Get right onto some of these tip branches. You almost find that working with weight maps is almost a bit like sculpting. It's almost like setting up before sculpting. So you're kind of figuring out where all of this high frequency detail is going to be, and of course, yeah, very little action in the trunk. You know, if the tree has any kind of diseases, we might be able to use the trunk and paint a weight map to do something like moss growing on the trunk, for example. So it's useful to just imagine how you'd like to place detail that you would normally just paint on. Okay, there's a few more branches here. I guess what I can even do as well is if I miss a few, I can always just come in and add on to the weight map. So it's not such a big deal, but I think we have a pretty good representation here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is create an ice tree. Of course, I'm going to get an empty point cloud to do so. I always want to create particles in an empty point cloud or a predefined point cloud. And I'll start by creating an emission.